everyone, this is Heidi. Welcome back to my channel, My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film my Christmas book haul. So I was very lucky to receive quite a few books for Christmas this year, many of which were from my parents, one was from my niece, and then I got a gift card from my husband, so I went to my favorite bookstore in Bangor and bought some books for myself with that. So let's just get to it because there are quite a few books here. So this book I've already read. I just read it today. This is Good Talk by Mira Jacobs. This is a graphic novel all about Mira Jacobs' life growing up as the child of immigrants and now as the mother of a mixed race brown boy, and how that all plays out in Trump's America. This book made me cry multiple times. It is one of the top books I read in 2019. I highly encourage all of you to pick up a copy of this and read it. It is absolutely stunning. Then I also got from my parents Fraud of the Century, Rutherford B. Hayes, Samuel Tilden, and the Stolen Election of 1876 by Roy Morris Jr. This book is a companion to the biography I read of Rutherford B. Hayes back in Nonfiction November. I wanted to read more. That book was quite slim and sparse, so I wanted to read more about Rutherford B. Hayes. And this book is all about the election of 1876, which kind of paralleled the election in, I believe, 2000, when Bush and Al Gore, when Gore won the popular vote, but Bush ended up being elected because of reasons. And this similarly, Samuel Tilden won the popular vote, but Rutherford B. Hayes ended up being president because of shenanigans that happened. So I've started this one already. I think I'm about page 50, and super interesting so far, and hoping to learn a bit more about Hayes in this book. Also from my parents, I got this slim nonfiction. This is The Battle for Paradise, Puerto Rico Takes on the Disaster Capitalists by Naomi Klein. You guys will remember that I read Naomi Klein's latest nonfiction, On Fire, earlier this fall, and then Alba over at Seriella recommended this slim book to me, and I really like Naomi Klein's writing, so I definitely wanted to read it, and I wanted to read more about Puerto Rico, so very happy to have this. This is only, I think, 80 pages long, so that one won't take me long. Also from my folks, I received How to Catch a Mole, Wisdom from a Life Lived in Nature by Marc Hammer. This slim nonfiction book, I believe I heard Olive over at a Book Olive talk about. You guys know how much I love nature nonfiction. So this is the combination of a naturalist, a person who works in the natural resources field, and also a memoir, which, you know, is my jam. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. This is a book I picked up with my gift card. This is The Known World by Edward P. Jones. This is fiction set in, I'm not sure when the time period is. Doesn't say on the back of the book, but basically it is about a former slave who is trying to make his way in Virginia, and about trying to survive basically in the post-slavery world as a black person. So a lot of booktubers I watch read this book last year and raved about it, and I found it at my local bookstore for $3, so I couldn't resist it. It was first published in 2003, and it has, you know, it sounds like it's going to be right up my alley, so I'm looking forward to that one. Also from my folks is To the Bright Edge of the World by Eowyn Ivey. This fiction was recommended to me by Lindsay over at Lindsay's Book Life. She read this a few months ago, and this is historical fiction, takes place in the late 1800s in Alaska, where a man goes off into the wilderness, leaving his pregnant wife behind. He's like a military guy, and he has to go off and do something, and she's left behind pregnant, and it's what happens to her and what happens to him, basically, and their stories. Lindsay spoke very highly of this and made it sound, or the way she talked about it, the way she described it made it sound like a book that I would really, really love. So there's that one. My niece got me The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I believe this is sort of like a suspense type fiction where this woman dies and this man is trying to stop her killing, and he, like, it's like Groundhog Day. He keeps repeating the same day over and over again. And this man wakes up in a different body every day and is trying to stop this woman's murder or solve what's going on. So that is quite an interesting premise. I don't think I've ever read anything like this. I never read Life After Life or any of those sort of books where the protagonist is sort of reliving the same day over and over again and trying to stop something. So I'm super interested to see what I think of this book. I've heard lots of reviews. Some have been good, some have been not so good. So interested to see what my opinion of that one's going to be. With my gift card, I picked up Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout. This is new fiction that just came out a few months ago. You guys know I adore Olive Kittredge, which is the first book, and this is basically about the same character, Olive Kittredge, in the second book. And so the Olive Kittredge was interconnected short stories, and all of which Olive Kittredge, this elderly woman in a small town in Maine, sort of played a role. She wasn't always the main protagonist in the story, but she somehow played into each of the stories. And Olive Kittredge was a wonderful book about what it's like to age, what it's like to live in a small community, how people's lives intertwine with one another. Can you grow and change even as, you're in the later years of your life? I really, really love that book. So I'm super excited to read this one and see if Elizabeth Strout can continue the magic. Elizabeth Strout is one of those authors where I've only ever read Olive Kittredge by her, but I have been buying up all of her books because I loved it so much and then never reading them. So I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm definitely going to read this one soon. And I just love this cover. I think it is gorgeous. The last two books are nonfiction that I picked up with my gift card. This is How to Hide an Empire, A History of the Greater United States by Daniel Immerwahr, I think. And this is all about just what it says on the tin. It's a history of the U.S.'s empire building and imperialism. Again, was interested in this one because of my interest in Puerto Rico. I don't know anything about any of these other territories, I don't know very much about many of these other territories of the U.S. This is a 2019 nonfiction, so another reason I wanted to read this was because of the possibility it might wind up on the BookTube prize list. So I grabbed this one. It is a bit of a chunker, but you guys know I love my history nonfiction, so that shouldn't be a deterrent to me. And then the last one I picked up is Midnight in Chernobyl, The Untold Story of the World's Greatest Nuclear Disaster by Adam Higgenbotham. Again, a 2019 nonfiction I've been wanting to read, thinking it might show up on the BookTube prize list, but also because I read and loved Voices from Chernobyl earlier this year by Svetlana Alexievich, and that just whetted my appetite to read more about Chernobyl. Kazan read this book, Midnight in Chernobyl, earlier this year, and she really loved it and raved about it, and that made me super interested to pick this one up sooner rather than later. Both of these nonfiction books I am hoping to get to in January before the BookTube prize starts and sort of get a head start on my nonfiction reading. In the thought that maybe some of these books might wind up on the prize list and then I'll have already gotten a head start. So those are the books that I received for Christmas. As you can see, I was extremely lucky and received some amazing books, which I am very, very excited to read. I hope that you all received some good books for Christmas. Please let me know in the comments down below some of those titles, ones you're really excited about, or if you even received books for Christmas. I'd love to hear all about it, and I'll talk to you later.